So it's 1986, June 28th to be precise, and at Wembley, Wham are breaking up, and the whole of pop history is about to change with the release the following year of the album Faith from George Michael. So Faith, it's an excellent album. It's probably my favourite album of all time, I think. Certainly very close to the top three. You know, it's a fantastic album, and I'm very proud to have the vinyl copy of it. Anyway, on to the track by track review of this album. So the first and the title track, Faith, an excellent track. I love it so much. The organ intro of taken from Wham's Freedom, which is probably my favourite song of all time, is such a great sort of grand opener to the album. You know, it would bring Wham fans in and make them feel comforted by the sound of the original song. And then all of a sudden the organs go away and we get into the acoustic guitar and the bass just firing on all cylinders. It's fantastic, you know, from a sort of teeny bopper band that Wham were sort of publicly shamed as almost, to a rock song is a fantastic move by George, and it's such a such a brilliant song. The instrumental break is so good. I just love everything about the song. So then the track ends and we get into probably one of my favourite songs of all time, Father Figure. I love it so much. It's got a sort of a gospel aspect to it, which was completely accidental on the part of George, where George accidentally cut out the one part of the drum track, I can't remember, on the mixing desk when trying to make the song, and it gave it this sort of spacey atmosphere to the song, so he decided to make it a gospel number, which I love. I really love that aspect of this song. It's such a unique track in the album and in all of George Michael's songs. It's such a unique track, and I really love the delivery of the lyrics, the sort of whispery, groaning aspect of it almost. It's a very sad song. And if you look on the compilation 25 from George Michael, which came out in 2006, it's on the second disc, which is more sort of ballad songs like Careless Whispers on there, and another track from this album, One More Try, but more on that once I get to it, is also on that disc, because they're both seen as sort of sad. I can't actually remember the names of the discs, they all had different names, so that's a shame. But the second one is the sadder songs, and the first one is sort of the poppy, uplifting sort of songs, and I like both from George, to be honest with you. So yeah, Father Figure, excellent song, one of my favourites. So now on to the most controversial song probably of 1987, I Want Your Sex. A very good song. I really like it. It's a sort of dance number, this. The synths and everything going on, the drums and everything. It's a solid song. And of course it got banned by Louis C playing on the radio. I think only part one, so I don't really know why they didn't play part two, but I guess it was seen as a sort of B-side. On the album, it's part one and two sort of combined, and I really like that. I used to only listen to part one, just, you know, whatever, because that's the main single, but I decided to listen to the rest, and I really love the horns. The horn section on the part two, it's a great number. And of course we have part three, not on the vinyl but on the CD special edition version and the remastered copy, which I do have over there. It comes with a last request, which is great. I like that. I'd like to get the Monogamy Mix 12-inch single of that. I'd like to get that at some point. Possibly in the new year, that would be preferable. So after I Want Your Sex ends, we go into probably my favourite track of the entire album. It's very close. The fourth single of the album, or the first four singles. The fourth single, One More Try. It's a beautiful song. It's a harrowing but not harrowing, if you know what I mean. It's really depressing, and the lyrics and the cries almost of fear and sadness is the song, but the beautiful instrumentation of the song is wonderful. It's excellent. Just listen to it if you can, because it's a really lovely song. Then we go into the fifth single of the album. There's a lot of singles from this album. It's probably one of the most successful albums. It was the most successful album of 1988 in the world. So there we are. There we have it. So the fifth single and the fifth track of the album is Hard Day, and I really like this song. As I said, there isn't a bad track on this album in my opinion. I love them all, and Hard Day is it's a good song. I like the drums, the synths and everything, that whole aspect to the entire song. The effects they put on George Michael's voice. I'm not talking about the end yet. The female version of the lyrics at the end, but the whole thing, a lot of reverb and a very, very whispery. Quite a few of these songs, I like his sort of whispery, sort of raspy way he delivers the lyrics. And I like this song especially for that. But then, of course, at the end, as I say, he becomes the female character, and they pitch up his voice, and I really like that in this song. It's probably my favourite bit of the entire song. It's a nice dance number, this one as well. Then we get into Hand to Mouth. Now, I like this one. It's probably my least favourite of the album, but I do like it. I would still listen to it. It's once again, it's got a good drum beat. A lot of these have got good drum beats. I love the lyrics of this song. It's a good song, but it's more of a straightforward number than some of the other songs on this album. So then we move on to Look at Your Hands. I this is probably another one of my favourites from the album, because even though it's an album track, and it hasn't been released as a single, I think it was a B-side for Monkey. I could be wrong. Whatever, you could get it as a B-side to a song. I like it. It's co-written by David Austin, who also co-wrote You Have Been Loved, which is a beautiful song. It's a really good song, that one. Yeah, I like it. It's I like the instrumentation of it, the sort of the horns and the piano. I like that. It's not orchestral. It's quite an acoustic number, more so than some of the other songs on this album. And the next track are very electronically based, but I like this sort of acoustic break in the album for a little bit. The first acoustic track really since sort of like Faith or Father Figure, the first two. Actually, Father Figure's got synths, so that's okay. So Look at Your Hands, great, excellent song, a very underrated song, I think. Then we move on to Monkey. Yeah, I think this might be my favourite of the album, my favourite track. It's excellent. This one is a really good dance number. The lyrics to it are really interesting. Actually, they're from the perspective of someone who's in love with a drug taker, a drug user, who and they're trying to get them to set their monkey free, which is the drugs. So it's a very interesting way of writing the song Monkey. If you replace monkey with drugs, then that's basically the entire song, but it's a wonderful dance number. I really particularly like the 7-inch edit, the stuff by Jamon Lewis, and I like their full 12-inch remix of it as well. I almost prefer that to the album version, but you can listen to the album version, then listen to the 7-inch edit version, which you can get on the remastered copy, or you can just get the 7-inch single. And if you can see how that was sort of the base and then you build up all the crazy effects and the synths and everything. It's a great. I love the instrumental break in that song. One of my particular favourites. So yeah, Monkey I think is my favourite from the album. Now moving on to the last track of the album, Kissing a Fool. This is a great sort of jazz number almost. I like the music video for this, especially the music videos for all of these are great. I mean, obviously the Faith one is iconic. The Father Figure one is probably the most cinematic of his videos, especially from the Faith period. Excellent video. Almost as iconic as the Freedom 90 video, but we'll talk about that once we get to the Listen Without Prejudice album, which will be coming up next year sometime, in January probably. Anyway, back to Kissing a Fool. Yeah, I like the music video, as I say. It's the delivery of the lyrics with this is probably the best of the album, actually, in the whispery sense. It's a good song. The break in it, the sort of the fast bits near the end, it's a great little section, and it really builds up to that moment, and you almost feel that subconsciously. You know, it builds up and it's not like electronically building up. It's not getting louder and louder, and then the drums come in, boom 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 boom, and then off you go to that bit. So yeah, Kissing a Fool, an excellent song, and I know a lot of people bought the album back then. Bought the album since, because Kissing a Fool is such a good song, but have ended up liking the rest of the album. So I hope you enjoyed this video, looking at the Faith album by George Michael. George Michael's one of my favourites, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in my next video next week, reviewing Wham! Make It Big. So I hope to see you then. Goodbye.